All right, so this topic is simplifying radicals, and you might say, why do I even need to know how to do this? Well, you might have a problem like this, where I divide by 5. Okay, my 5's cancel, and I get x squared equals 20. And then I square root both sides, and my answer is x equals plus or minus square root of 20. This answer is not wrong. The problem is that this is not simplified. We can actually reduce this into smaller values. So it might be something like 3 root 5, 2 root 4, something like that. Don't forget your plus or minus when you are solving an equation. All right, let's talk about the square root of 48. So there's two ways to do these problems, and I'm going to show you both methods. Whichever one you prefer, you certainly can do. Personally, what I like to do is I like to come up with the two square roots, or the highest square root that I know I can simplify. So let me give you an example. I know the square root of 1 is equal to 1. I know the square root of 4 is equal to 2. I know the square root of 9 is 3. Kind of keep doing this with me. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 49 is 7. And I'd get this down. Square root of 64 is 8. We'll go square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 121 is 11, and we'll stop after this one. Square root of 144 is 12. And what I try to do is I work my way down and I say, what's the biggest number that I can divide 48 by that's on this list? So can I divide 48 by 144? Nope. Can I divide 48 by 121? Nope. Can I divide it by 100? Nope. Divide by 81? Nope. Can I divide by 64? Nope. How about 49? Nope. What about 36? Let me do 48 divided by 36. Nope. I get 1.333. That doesn't work. What about divide by 25? Nope. That gives me a decimal as well. What about dividing by 16? Well, 48 divided by 16 equals 3. So this is my big winner. And what I mean by big is the biggest possible one on this list that works. So when I take 48 and I divide it by 16, I get 3, which means that I can rewrite the square root of 48 times the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. Well, what is the square root of 16? Well, that is 4. And then can I get the square root of 3 as anything besides a decimal? Nope. So in this case, we're just going to drop down the root 3, and our answer is 4 root 3, and that's our final answer. All right, for this next one, what we're going to do is say, what's the biggest number I can divide 75 by without getting a decimal? Well, definitely not 81, definitely not 64, not 49, not 36, 25? Does 25 work? Sure. That becomes square root of 25. Well, what else do I have to have here? I have to have a 3 because 25 times 3 is 75. These two numbers, of course, have to multiply to be this. Well, what is the square root of 25? That is 5. And then drop down the root 3. So that's my answer. What about 112? Well, that one's definitely harder to me. Can I do 112 divided by 64? Nope. Can I do 112 divided by 49? Nope, that gives me a decimal. What about 112 divided by 36? Nope. How about 112 divided by 25? Nope. What about 112 divided by 16? Yes. So this was the biggest number. Remember, I'm working from the biggest numbers to the lowest. So I can write this as the square root of 16 times, and when I did 112 divided by 16, I got 7, which means that the square root of 16 times 7 gives me 112. Okay, well, what is the square root of 16? Well, that is just 4. And then I drop down the root 7. There we go. That's my answer to that. All right, now let's talk about the other way to do this. And this is not my way. I used to call this Miss Johnson's method. A lot of students way prefer this. I do think it's easier. However, it is longer. But whatever gives you the correct answer, I think that works. All right, what we need to do on these problems is basically get them into their lowest factored form. So we're going to start by saying, let's divide 48 by 2. So 48 becomes 24 times 2. Then I'm going to take 24 and I'm going to break that into 12 times 2. But don't forget to drop down your 2. Then I'm going to take this 12 and I'm going to reduce it into a 6 times 2. But don't forget to drop down these 2's. Then of course my 6 can reduce to a 3, and then that becomes a 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Drop down the 2, drop down the 2, drop down the 2. Now, is it true that 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals 48? Well, you really should check this and see if that's right. All right, now here's how this pattern works. Anytime you have a number solo like 3, you're going to have a root 3. Anytime you have a pair, you're going to pull that on the outside. So I'm going to pull that 2 out. But I've also got another pair of 2, so I'm going to pull that 2 out and multiply it by the outside. So my final answer is going to be a 4 root 3. Now that might seem like a harder way to do it at first, but let's do a couple more, and I feel like I can convince you that this is the easier way to do it. All right, how about 75? 75 I can not divide by 2, but I can divide it by 3, and I know it's 75 times 3. 75 is going to be, oops, that was wrong. What am I thinking? That's 25 times 3. How can I break up 25? Well, that's going to be 5 times 5, and then drop down the 3. Can I reduce any more of these into their lowest factors? No. So our final answer is going to be our solo number, which is root 3. And then we've got a pair of 5, so we pull that out. Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's try 112. When in doubt, just divide by 2 if it's an even number. And I get 56 times 2. I know 56 can be broken down into 2 times 28. Drop down my 2. 28 is going to be 14 times 2. And then my 14 is going to be a 7 times 2. Okay, can I reduce any more of those? I've got a 2, 2, 7, 2, and a 2. Nope, I don't think so. So here's my solo number of 7, so it's just going to be a root 7. And then I can pull out a 2, but I can also pull out another 2. So I put times 2. And so 2 times 2 is 4, so my answer is 4 root 7. Sweet. All right. All right. For these, you have to be a little careful. Square root of 100 already has an answer. It is, of course, 10 because 10 times 10 is 100. I'm going to do this one, my method. I'm going to do this one, Miss Johnson's method, and you can decide which one you like best. Okay, square root of 72, I know, going back to my, I guess I don't have it written down anymore. I know that's divisible by 36. So this is going to be square root of 36 times the square root of 2. Well, what's the square root of 36? That is 6, drop down my root 2. And that's my answer. I think fast. Only tricky part is recognizing what this biggest number is out of square root of 100, square root of 91, square root of 64, square root of 49, etc. All right, let's break down 80. This is the Miss Johnson method. So this is going to be a 40 times 2. That 40 becomes a 20 times 2. Drop down my 2. This becomes a 10 times 2. And then that 10 becomes a 5 times 2. And then drop down my 2, drop down my 2, drop down my 2. On a test, I would actually take the time to multiply these numbers all over again to make sure that you are getting 80, because if you dropped a 2 or something like that, you're going to get the wrong answer. So I'm going to have that 5 be a square root of 5. It's a solo number. And then I've got a 2 that comes out, and another 2 that comes out, and that becomes 2 times 2, which is 4 root 5. I do not care which method you use, but choose the one that you're getting their answer correct most likely on. Thanks, y'all.